Imagine waking up in the morning. You reach for your phone before your feet even touch the floor. You check messages. You scroll through short videos. You jump from one notification to another. You skip breakfast or grab something highly processed because you're in a hurry. You spend most of the day sitting. You work while constantly switching between apps. And at night, when your body is begging for sleep, you tell yourself, just 5 more minutes. But 5 minutes becomes 30. 30 becomes an hour. And eventually, you fall asleep with your phone still in your hand. The strange thing is, none of these habits feels dangerous. That's exactly why they're so powerful. The habits that can affect your brain aren't always dramatic. Sometimes they're incredibly ordinary. You repeat them every day, so your brain gradually adapts to them. And today, we're going to look at 7 common habits that may be quietly working against your brain. Not because your brain is fragile. Quite the opposite. Your brain is incredibly adaptable. But that adaptability is a double-edged sword. It can adapt to healthy habits, and it can adapt to unhealthy patterns too. So let's begin with number 1. Habit number 1, starting your day with endless scrolling. You wake up, you grab your phone, and before you've even thought about your own goals for the day, you're consuming somebody else's thoughts. News, messages, short videos, arguments, memes, notifications, another video, another notification, another video. It feels harmless, but there's something important happening. You're immediately asking your brain to process a huge amount of rapidly changing information. 1 second, you're watching a comedy clip. The next second, you're reading bad news. Then you're looking at someone's vacation. Then you're checking a message. Then you're watching another short video. Your attention keeps jumping. And this can train a pattern of constant novelty seeking. Now let's be careful here. Scrolling through social media does not automatically destroy dopamine or permanently damage your brain. Those popular claims are far too simplistic. But excessive digital stimulation can encourage habits of fragmented attention, especially when you're constantly switching between sources of information. And there's another problem. Your morning begins reactively. Instead of deciding what deserves your attention, you allow an algorithm, a notification, or another person's message to decide for you. Think about that. The first thing your brain experiences is not your own intention. It's external stimulation. So try something different. For the first 20 or 30 minutes after waking up, don't immediately give your attention to your phone. Drink some water. Open the curtains. Walk around. Stretch. Think about what you want to accomplish. Even better, ask yourself one simple question. What deserves my attention today? That question puts you back in control. Your phone should be a tool. It shouldn't be the first voice your brain listens to every morning. Habit number 2, sleeping too little and treating sleep like wasted time. This one is probably the most important, because some people treat sleep as if it's an obstacle to productivity. They say, "I'll sleep when I'm done. I can function on 5 hours. I'll catch up on the weekend." But your brain doesn't see sleep as wasted time. Sleep is part of the brain's maintenance system. During sleep, your brain goes through important processes involved in memory, learning, emotional regulation, and restoring normal brain function. And when you consistently cut sleep short, your cognitive performance can suffer. A meta-analysis of 61 studies found that sleep restriction negatively affected several aspects of neurocognitive functioning, including executive function, sustained attention, and long-term memory. Another systematic review and meta-analysis found that even one night of significant sleep restriction increased sleepiness and impaired sustained attention, including slower reaction times and more attention lapses. Think about what that means in everyday life. You might think you're simply a little tired, but your brain may be working with less attention, slower reactions, and weaker memory. And here's something even more interesting. A recent NIH-funded study in mice explored how sleep appears to help recalibrate neural connections and restore learning capacity. So sleep isn't simply your body switching off. Your brain is still doing important work. And no, sleeping longer isn't automatically better either. The goal is consistent, sufficient quality sleep. For most adults, that generally means around 7 to 9 hours per night. So tonight, instead of asking, how much more can I get done before sleeping? Ask, how much better will my brain work tomorrow if I protect my sleep tonight? That is a completely different mindset. Habit number 3, sitting for hours without moving. Here's a habit that doesn't look like a brain habit at all. Sitting. You sit at work. You sit while eating. You sit while watching YouTube. You sit while scrolling. Then you sit again when you're traveling. And after a long day, you may realize you've barely moved. Your brain needs your body. They're not separate systems. Physical activity affects cardiovascular health, blood flow, metabolism, mood, and many processes connected with brain function. Research looking at reducing sedentary behavior has found that replacing prolonged sitting with physical activity can influence cognitive and brain-related outcomes, although the evidence varies depending on the type and duration of activity. And you don't necessarily need an extreme workout. You don't have to become a marathon runner. You don't need to spend 2 hours in a gym. Start smaller. Walk after meals. Take the stairs. Stand up every so often. Stretch. Go outside. Take a 10-minute walk. The goal is to stop treating movement as something you only do when you're exercising. Movement should be part of your day. Here's a simple rule. If you've been sitting for a long time, get up. Move. Even a short movement break is better than staying frozen in the same position for hours. Your brain is connected to the body you're carrying around all day. Take care of both. Habit number 4, eating mostly ultra-processed food. Let's talk about something we all understand. Food. Because what you eat doesn't only affect your waistline. Your brain requires energy and nutrients to function. And the quality of your overall diet matters. Now, this doesn't mean you can never eat pizza, chips, sweets, burgers, or instant noodles. One unhealthy meal isn't going to destroy your brain. The problem is a long-term pattern where highly processed foods dominate your diet, while nutrient-rich foods become rare. Research has associated higher consumption of ultra-processed foods with poorer cognitive outcomes. For example, a large cohort study found that higher ultra-processed food consumption was associated with faster rates of global cognitive and executive function decline. And NIH research has also reported associations between healthier eating patterns and a lower risk of cognitive impairment or decline. So what does a brain-friendly diet look like? It doesn't have to be complicated. Think about adding more vegetables, fruits, whole grains, beans and lentils, nuts, seeds, fish or other quality protein sources, and healthy fats. The Mediterranean-style pattern is one example of an eating pattern associated with better cognitive health. And here's a simple trick. Don't focus only on what you need to remove. Focus on what you can add. Add a fruit. Add vegetables to lunch. Add nuts. Drink more water. Choose minimally processed foods more often. When healthier foods become normal, the unhealthy choices don't need to disappear completely. They simply stop controlling your diet. Habit number 5, constant multitasking. You think you're multitasking. You're answering a message while watching a video. You're listening to a podcast while checking social media. You're working while your notifications keep appearing. You have 10 tabs open, and you feel productive. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Your brain is not necessarily doing 10 demanding things simultaneously. In many situations, it's rapidly switching between tasks. And every switch has a cost. Imagine you're trying to write an important email. You receive a notification. You check it. You return to the email. Then you remember something else. You open another tab. Then you check your phone. Then you return to the email. By the end, you've spent an hour working. But your brain has spent much of that hour repeatedly rebuilding context. This is why deep work can feel uncomfortable at first. Your brain has become accustomed to interruption. So you need to practice sustained attention. Try something simple. Choose one task. Put your phone away. Close unnecessary tabs. Set a short period of focused work. 20 minutes, 30 minutes, even 10 minutes is a good beginning. And during that time, do one thing, not 5. 1. Then take a break. This is not about becoming a productivity machine. It's about giving your attention a chance to become strong again. Because attention is not just something you have. It's something you practice. And what you practice every day, you become better at. Habit number 6, living in constant stress without recovery. Stress is not always bad. In fact, short-term stress can be useful. It can make you alert. It can help you respond to challenges. It can motivate you to act. The problem is when stress becomes your default state. You wake up worried. You work worried. You eat while worried. You scroll while worried. You go to bed worried. And even when nothing is happening, your mind keeps producing problems. According to the National Center for Complementary and Integrative Health, occasional stress is a normal response, but long-term stress can contribute to or worsen various health problems, including sleep problems and mental health symptoms. And here's the mistake many people make. They think relaxation means doing nothing. It doesn't. Recovery can mean walking, talking to someone, listening to music, spending time outside, breathing slowly, meditating, praying, writing down your thoughts, doing something enjoyable without trying to be productive. Your brain needs periods where it isn't constantly fighting for your attention. Imagine running a computer program continuously at maximum capacity. Eventually, performance suffers. Your brain is more complicated than a computer, of course. But the principle is useful. Constant demand without recovery is not sustainable. So don't wait until you're completely exhausted to recover. Build recovery into your day. Even 10 quiet minutes can be valuable. Habit number 7, never giving your brain anything new to learn. This final habit is surprisingly common. You wake up. You go to work. You come home. You watch the same type of content. You scroll through the same apps. You talk about the same things. You follow the same routines. And your brain rarely has to stretch. Now, routine itself is not bad. Routine can make life easier. But your brain also benefits from meaningful cognitive engagement. Learning something new challenges your brain. Reading, learning a language, playing an instrument, solving problems, writing, drawing, learning a new skill, having thoughtful conversations, even trying a new route on your walk can introduce novelty. The point isn't to become a genius. The point is to remain mentally engaged. And here's something important. You don't need complicated brain training apps to do this. You can simply learn. If you're watching a video, don't just consume it. Take notes. Ask questions. Try to explain the idea in your own words. If you're learning English, speak it. If you're learning business, build something. If you're learning programming, create something. If you're learning history, teach someone what you discovered. Learning becomes powerful when your brain has to actively work with information. Don't just consume. Process, practice, recall, create, and repeat. So what should you actually do? Let's bring everything together. 7 habits. Number 1. Starting your day with endless scrolling. Number 2. Consistently sacrificing sleep. Number 3. Sitting for hours without moving. Number 4. Eating a diet dominated by ultra-processed foods. Number 5. Constant multitasking and attention switching. Number 6. Living under chronic stress without enough recovery. And number 7. Never challenging yourself to learn something new. Now here's the most important part. You don't need to fix all 7 tomorrow. In fact, trying to change everything at once might be the fastest way to change nothing. Choose one. Maybe it's sleep. Maybe it's your phone. Maybe it's movement. Maybe it's your diet. Maybe it's learning. Start with one small change. Tonight, put your phone away earlier. Tomorrow morning, don't touch it immediately. Take a short walk. Eat one healthier meal. Work for 20 minutes without checking notifications. Spend 15 minutes learning something you've always wanted to understand. Small actions seem insignificant, but repeated actions become habits, and habits shape your daily environment. Your brain is constantly adapting to the life you give it. That's the good news, because adaptation works both ways. If you've trained your attention to jump constantly, you can train it to focus. If you've trained yourself to stay awake late, you can rebuild a better sleep routine. If you've trained yourself to sit all day, you can start moving more. If you've trained yourself to consume, you can start creating. If you've trained yourself to worry constantly, you can practice recovery. You are not permanently stuck with the habits you've built. Your next choice matters, and your brain doesn't need perfection. It needs consistency. So don't finish this video thinking, I have ruined my brain. That's not the message. The message is much more hopeful. Your brain is remarkably adaptable. And that means the habits you practice tomorrow can be different from the habits you practiced yesterday. You don't need a perfect morning. You don't need a perfect diet. You don't need to meditate for an hour. You don't need to delete every social media app. You don't need to become a productivity robot. Just start protecting the basics. Sleep well. Move your body. Eat nourishing food. Protect your attention. Manage stress. Keep learning. And give yourself moments of real recovery. Because the biggest changes in your brain may not come from one dramatic decision. They may come from the tiny decisions you repeat every single day. So tonight, before you go to sleep, ask yourself one question. What is one habit I can change tomorrow that my future brain will thank me for? Choose one. Start there. And remember, your brain is listening to what you do repeatedly. Make sure you're giving it something worth learning. If this video helped you, share it with someone who spends too much time scrolling, sleeping too little, or constantly saying, "I'm too busy." And if you want more videos about improving your mind, English, focus, habits, and personal growth, subscribe. Because your brain isn't just something you were born with. It's something you spend your entire life taking care of. And that makes every day an opportunity to make it stronger.